I built all this because none of it was here. But I mean, imagine finding a piece of property like this. I couldn't believe it. My name is Gene Gilbert. Actually, I've lived in the home in which I occupy since the year 2000, but I did rent a house here for about 6 months while my house was being prepared. I lived in the Oaks off Las Feliz, which is really only a few miles from here, and never knew there were horses here until I was invited by a neighbor to attend a horse show at the Paddock Riding Club and discovered there were horses here. I'd been keeping my horse at the Equestrian Center in Burbank. When I first moved here, I realized to my horror that there was no protection in place for the horses, which I was delighted to find were here. So I quickly said, we really need to do something to protect the horses. The people resident in the area at that time told me that was unnecessary because the horses had always been there. And I said, all the more reason we need to protect them. And as it turned out, politically, it was very much more involved than I had anticipated. We had to go door to door to obtain signatures from all residents because it had to be a giant preponderance of the people who lived here who wanted the horses. And not everyone is in favor of horses. Some people find horses disruptive. They find the smells associated with them, the flies associated with them, those type of things. So we were able to overcome that opposition and to obtain the K-zone. The K-zone does not require one to keep horses, but allows one to keep horses. And also there is some waiver in the size of the lots. The lots do not have to be as large as they need to be in some equine keeping areas. And that is basically what has protected the Atwater Village Equestrian District, is the fact that we have had this K overlay in place and therefore protected the equine keeping. We have the Atwater Village Equestrian District signs. It is bordered on Brunswick, Chevy Chase, the river, and Garden Street. It comprises the equestrian area in Atwater Village. Took 8 years going door to door to door and going down to the city planning department and going to the councilman's offices. And it was a political process, and we were very naive. We had not dealt with politics before, the city politics, but we were successful. I happen to be the sole possessor of a miniature sign. Well, you see, before the 5 freeway went in, Griffith Park was right here, where Atwater Village is. Then the 5 freeway went in, and so Griffith Park was required to give this side of the river, Atwater Village, some land in exchange. That's how we have the North Atwater Park. That's how we have the North Atwater Riding Arena, which is for public use. These things came about because of the trade-off. But more recently, within the last few years, we now have an equestrian bridge into Griffith Park. Griffith Park has 52 miles of bridle trails, and now we have access to them for equines through the tunnel that goes under the freeway. The Paddock Riding Club is here. The Mounted Police are here. Saddle and Sirloin Club, which is a cattle roping club. The San Rafael Stables are here, taking the rein services underserved girls, and the Children's Ranch services children and adults facing challenges. It's amazing that in a property this size, we have Taking the Reins, we have the Children's Ranch, we have the Caspian Horse Conservancy. It's absolutely astonishing when you look on a map to see the size of the Equestrian District that these nonprofit organizations are located here, in the center of the city. But the equestrian districts, to have access to living creatures is essential. I mean, we know, research tells us that domestic abuse stems from animal abuse, and animal abuse stems from children who have not had access to living creatures. I mean, we're talking about the average person or person of average means who probably couldn't afford to feed a cat or a dog, let alone a horse. So they need that access to them, and I think that's one of the reasons that people gravitate. If you walk down the street with a horse, you will draw a crowd instantly. People will come from across the street, from down the block, from everywhere, and especially children. They want to see the horse. They want to touch the horse. This is something that we cannot afford to lose. This is something that our society cannot afford to lose, which is one of the reasons why closing the pony rides in Griffith Park was a travesty. Now, those are purportedly going to be reopened in another format. I mean, I was on the Griffith Park Advisory Board when this initially happened, and they should not have been closed. I've spoken several times at the Park Commission about this because it offers no interaction for children of modest means to have access with living creatures. The pony rides were perfect, $5 for 3 times around. They were affordable and they were a treat that could be provided. by people of basic income, of modest means. That no longer is in existence. In terms of just being able to visit the horses, that's really quite difficult. I mean, the paddock is a gated facility. You can't go in there unless you have reason and know the code. And the Children's Ranch obviously doesn't invite people because they have such specific programs and the clients are so sensitive. And taking the reins is available to people who meet the criteria necessary for it. The Caspian Horse Conservancy holds periodic events, I guess you would call them. There's more like just a show and tell or a photo op to come and see the Caspian horses. That's periodically just advertised. Enterprise Farms is a riding school located at the Paddock Riding Club, where we teach riders beginning to intermediate on a variety of school horses, one of which at this time is a Caspian horse. The Caspian horses are a rare and endangered species. There are actually probably fewer than 1,000 remaining in the world, although we're uncertain as to how many are now in Iran because the political climate there is not stable. But they originally came from Iran, from the Caspian Sea. That's how they obtained their name. And they were thought to be extinct. These are the original Type 4 Proto-Arab horses on the seal of King Darius, who used them to hunt lions in small chariots. And the Caspian Horse Conservancy is located on Verdant Street in Atwater Village, where 6 of the endangered species are located. In addition to that, I had a friend from the UK visit, and she said, "Are you using your Caspian horses for autistic and developmentally disabled children?" And I said, "No." And she said, "You should explore that idea." Interestingly enough, in the Atwater Village Equestrian District, the Children's Ranch caters to that clientele. And I offered them a Caspian horse on trial. They loved it and now have 2 in their program. So that adds to the Verdant Street Caspian horse impact. I mean, horses are being shut out everywhere. There was even something in the internet today about how they don't even have the horse shows at the fairs anymore. The county fair, Los Angeles, and the Orange County fairs. They have a few in little pens or something, like they have the cattle and but they don't do the horse shows or the 4-H or that kind of stuff. The horses are being shut out everywhere. As the land becomes increasingly valuable and the ability of people to maintain horses becomes the purview of only the very, very wealthy, the continued existence of the Atwater Equestrian District is in question. It's a real gem. I mean, we're very, very, very fortunate to have it, and that's why I fought, and many of the other people, some of whom are gone now, fought so hard to preserve this area because it's worth preserving. We're so lucky to have it. And once it's gone, it's gone.